Well, greetings, blade lovers. This old sword is back once again, and it's double-edged day. I thought we'd give some love and attention and respect to those fixed blades. Yes, only fixed blades today, because folders, it's difficult to have two edges, but there are some. Give some love and attention to these fixed blade double-edge daggers. Yes. And I guess the question of the day is, are two edges better than one? Well, like everything else, your mileage is going to vary and it depends. So we're going to show you, what do I have here? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Was going to pare it down to 7, actually started with 9 and was given consideration to more. Got a lot of double-edged fixed blade daggers, but I'm going to start you off with one of the best, Blackrock Knives, Ken Vehik, the custom maker, making these out of, I believe, Illinois is where he's from, and correct me, Ken, if I'm wrong. It's been a while. This is, he's calling his boot. So it's a ringed boot dagger. You may or may not agree with the concept of rings. Let's see if we can get a little more room without too much reveal of what's coming next. I think, oh, peeking at me, whatever. This guy is a beautiful example of Ken's work, where he does these incredible rock patterns on everything. And this one's not just a random rock pattern. This has on the handle, I think the handle is actually one of the most intriguing parts of the knife, although the blade is perfect. There is his insignia, or his maker's mark. We've got a full choil on both sides, which is somewhat unusual for a dagger. You do have to watch your finger. I just kind of nicked myself a little bit. No blood. But he did this rock pattern that's symmetrical, and it's like even on both sides, but he melded that in this case with a handle material that is G10 black and gray. And I requested that. So this is a build that is custom, is going to cost you upwards of $300, maybe more. I've seen these gone up in time. And let's see if I can get you a little more background here. I do have my list up. So this one is a 80CR V2 blade steel. So it's a high carbon, yes, rustable, so take care of it. But I keep mentioning back in the day when I had blued pistols, we're talking, 70s and 80s, there was no stainless pistols. There, and very few knives even, except cheap ones, were made out of stainless steel. So yes, just you have to coat these with a little oil now and then, a little silicone cloth, whatnot, particularly if you're carrying it a lot close to your body. As you saw, comes with a custom sheath. Can make some of the best custom sheaths going. They're just perfectly fitted. I don't know of anybody that presses a better sheath, and tiniest bit of movement in there, but it's complex trying to get these molded so that they fit the knife perfectly. Rock pattern all the way down the blade. I don't know that I'm going to spend as much time on all of these today because I've got 8 to get through rather quickly. But again, the ring dagger concept, I first was exposed to ring daggers back in my Chinese martial arts days, where we would, spin them around. I don't have anywhere near the room in front of this camera to do, any kind of knife acrobatics. But, you would hold them like this. Now, Lynn Thompson said some of the old ring daggers were meant to be held this way. And to me, it makes a little more sense, although cutting with it is not going to be as easy. You can hold them this way. You can use the ring to pull them out of the sheath, etc. And it's a sharp son of a gun, too, for One disadvantage, if we're talking advantages and disadvantages of double edges, disadvantages, you're going to usually have a shallow grind. You're going to have a short grind and therefore not as slicey an edge. On the plus side, if you're using this to thrust with, using this as a tactical sort of a knife, then the double edge has that diamond cross section, and you're going to have a great penetrating capabilities on this knife, and it's going to cut both edges on the way in. Another advantage of double-edged knives is you can cut going and coming. It doesn't matter what position the knife is in, point up or point down, you've got an edge available. No matter how you happen to grab this knife in a moment of stress, you know you've got an edge forward, let's say, even if you don't need the edge back. That's one advantage. Disadvantage is you can't put your thumb on the back, and not knowing where the edge is at all times, it's possible that this can bite the owner, the wielder, as well as it can bite the assailant, if that's what you're using it for. So got to move on to the Galco dagger. And this is a beauty. See if I can get you the specs on this, basically. It's a Les George boot dagger. It's in CPM 3V. Also a steel that you're going to have to take care of, but this one is coated. Don't think you used Cerakote on this. I think this is a, not sure of the finish, but it's a beautiful finish. And it is coated. If you know, let me know. These have become very popular. He sells extra handle scales for them so that you can easily remove these and swap them out with your choice of the day. Got some great jimping there. It's this wasp waist sort of handle where it pinches in and has a palm swell in the middle. This one happens to be an orange and black G10, which I didn't think I'd like, but I love it. Beautifully ground blade. These are kind of a mid-tech knife. So again, they're going to run you 300 and up. I am going to get to some budgety knives here in a moment, but a lot of these are customs today just because I think they're perfect. They're beautiful. He does this interesting 3D milling on the handle here. I forget what he calls it, but it gives you lots of grip, along with the pinched in area here ahead of the guard or behind the guard. And you can cap it very nicely with the thumb for point down, edge in work, but it works equally well for the point up hammer grip style or saber grip style. This was fashioned after the, World War I dagger? And they have a bigger version of this, but it's that same sort of takeoff on some of the old Sykes Fairbairn designs, the original ones, the trench knife and so forth. There you've got his mark. Here somewhere, I think you've got, 3V. There's the 3V. You can pinch it this way. He did the handle very interestingly. There are some who like to hold this knife this way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Cut both ways. And again, all the advantages and disadvantages that I mentioned on the ring dagger, as far as the double edge goes. We'll put that down there. And we're going to move on to a budgety one. And this is NC Customs. I believe it's a Russian company. This is called the Spectre dagger. These are going for around 100 or a little more, I think. I'm not sure they're still available. And yep, it is made in Russia. There you go. So like it or love it or hate it, whatever. And the steel on this is, got to look that up. Got my crib notes here. Steel on this one is X105. And that is an interesting steel. I believe it is like a German stainless. And it's kind of akin to 440 in that area. Beautiful stone wash and excellently sharp edge on this for a double edge. Nice big flat fuller down the middle. Reminds me of some of the Morgan Cohen's Cohen's Craft Designs. And you do have a little bit of a choil there. You know, I certainly wouldn't put a whole finger in there. I don't know the value of that other than as a sharpening choil. You got some of the same thing going here with your thumb that you do with the Galco. Galvo, it's a Galvo, and I think that name comes from galvanometer, which is a way of measuring electrical resistance, I think. I'll leave it at that. Don't know much more than that. We've got black G10, ribbed, nicely milled, shorter handle, which is fine. Works excellent in just about any grip, perfect for pical. You know, we got a lot of specialized pical knives coming out now with, you know, where they kind of hook down and out and so forth, and they're designed for the animal claw sort of technique. But in my early years in the Filipino martial arts, we were handed like a 3-inch double-edged dagger, and that was the perfect pical knife. This one's coming in about, about 4 inches. So it's a pretty good length for that sort of blade use. And we're going to put that one down there. And we're going to move to a Bastinelli. I got 2 Bastinellis out today. This is the Tellum, which is a word for spear. This is really interesting. We're talking about short daggers. Short dagger with a full-size handle, which makes it very maneuverable. It is extremely flat. It's a micarta handle encapsulating the tang all the way up to the last screw there. So those of you that worry about a short tang and, you know, breaking the handle and so forth, ain't going to happen with this one. The seam is barely noticeable. We've got on this one kind of a green micarta going. They got a black micarta as well as the green micarta. This is sort of more on the natural side. I've learned recently that there are some heavy-duty leather conditioners that if you use them on micarta, they darken down and they stay that way. So if you're interested in darkening your micarta without waiting for it to absorb your hands' moisture and sweat, that's a good way to do it. This one is M390. I like that he gives the serrations on one side because I've got some out the front knives. Same thing. You can use that serration very effectively, both combatively as well as in a utility function for cutting hard to cut rope and marine rope and plastic strapping, so on and so forth. Works like a charm. Fuller down the middle there. Again, we've got less than a 3-inch blade here, I believe. I don't want to measure everything. 2.5 inch, roughly. So if you want to know more about any of these knives, as I always say, I have individual reviews on each of them. And as you're seeing, all of these come in a beautiful Kydex sheath. Let's jump to a Dirk Pinkerton custom. And yes, it's a custom. This is the variable broadhead. This one's an S35VN. Got interested in this because Bob DeMarco picked one up, like so many other knives. He and I sort of taunt each other into buying additional bladed hardware. This one works perfectly this way. It's an excellent design, kind of a Fred Perrin sort of concept, if you will. And I think if I remember correctly, Dirk got a hold of Fred Perrin before he made this and sort of told him what he was doing. Fred said, go for it. At least that's the story I remember. Almost no handle here, but this is in a kind of a swirl G10. There's a name for it, and you'll probably tell me. Can't remember all the names of all these particular products, or maybe I can if I look at my crib notes, of course. Look at the crib notes. You got too many knives. Oh, well, I don't have it on the list because I think I added it in extra. But there is a name for that G10. It's made by a company. It is proprietary, but it looks beautiful. And he had lots of different handles available at the time I got this. You can use this as a traditional sort of push dagger by putting the middle finger through. Now it's stuck on my hand. But probably best used with the index finger here, because you can cut with it, you can thrust with it, and boy, that is a thruster with a fine arrowhead. So let's get that one in right about there. What are we going to next? Why not a Microtech SBD dagger, designed by Borka, Sebastian Berengi. What do we got over there? Piece of the sheath. Broad cutting edge. So here we've got actually a lot of the advantages of a single edge in a double-edged knife. Look how wide that blade is. It's just about wide. It's certainly wider than the handle, and it's even with the guard. Got a deep sharpening choil there. I think you're going to be sharpening. If you use this for lots of EDC stuff, you've got plenty of real estate to continue sharpening this. Beautiful grinds, made in the Microtech factory, USA. All the customs on the table are also USA made by the individual makers. Got great jimping on this one all the way around. They do make it in like a part serrated and all serrated, and lots of variants on this. G10 handle with the tang standing proud. Does make it easy for them to put the handle on afterwards and have every copy match up perfectly. Great jimping in here. Hold it any way you like. Got a nice persuader there on the pommel with some jimping on that as well. No, it's not a ring dagger, but yes, you can use this to pop it out of the sheath pretty easily with two fingers, finger and a thumb. There's Borka's logo there on the blade. This one's M390. And we have room, well, we're going to put that down there for now. You can mostly see it. Going over to auxiliary manufacturing and Mike Jarvis. This is the bottle rocket. This one, I was hesitant getting the bottle rocket, but I'll tell you in a minute why I love it. This one's very special. It's in kind of a fat carbon, what he calls kind of a turquoise, and it's got a long name. You know, as you know, fat carbon, they like to name each of their designs, and they have special long names. Magna cut on this, although it is not marked, it is Magna cut. There's auxiliary manufacturing stamp. Why do I like the handle? And I thought I wouldn't. I thought I wouldn't because it's kind of fat. But boy, does that give you a grip on the knife. This feels so solid. You know, this could almost be kind of like a fidget toy, just holding the handle. Or if you're Tactical Tavern, Tomas over there, you'd be flipping this all around. Not me. Not me. I don't do that knife juggling with the fingers. I might lose fingers. Beautiful stonewash on this. Again, I said Magna cut, fat carbon. You can hold it this way. You can pinch it this way. If you're holding it point down, your little finger goes in there and your index goes there and your thumb caps over top. It is perfect. It is absolutely perfect. Whatever way you want to hold it. Plenty to hold on to, and it is beautiful. It's not your average handle. Certainly not your average blade steel, although we're seeing more and more in Magna cut these days. What do we have left? Oh, I said I had two Bastinellis, and here is the second one. The Grozo, G-R-O-Z-O, N690 steel made in Italy, and this is made by Fox in Italy, as were many of his knives, although many of the knives are now being made in the U.S., I think the latest push dagger that I showed was made in the US as well. Could have put that on the table. Could actually, if you're missing like the Tops Ice Dagger and some of those, I just didn't have room today. So maybe we'll do another run on these. Perfect that we have we have serrations, useful serrations for about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, just enough to be able to use them to cut stuff that an average blade would slide off of. This is definitely a military sort of tactical knife. You've got your persuader on the back there, nicely rounded, nice circumference there to do stuff like this. That's definitely useful, that pommel. Nice fuller going down the middle, beautiful grind. Keep it in focus. This one, it comes in a black handle and this desert tan handle. Has tight contact with the Kydex, thus you see like a little stain there. It's really not a stain, it rubs off. But lots of traction on this handle. As we know, Bastinelli likes to use a lot of jimping. However, no jimping on the tang of this one. It's all on the G10, which is fine. It feels great, the contouring on that. And we have those radiused, crowned edges on the tang there. But there's a little bit of jimping. So we got some jimping here. So makes it kind of tactile. Can't really put your thumb in there with any degree of comfort, but you can put it like that. That is the Grogo. And I think we have reached the end. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. That's what I counted originally. And like I said, I had like 9 and was going to do 7. But I added the bottle rocket in. I had totally forgotten about the bottle rocket. There you go. Let me know what you think about double edges. Maybe you've got some. Maybe you like them. Maybe you don't. Maybe you prefer single edge. That's fine too. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. A lot of you guys watching videos, but you're not subscribing, so you're not getting notified when stuff goes up. And I think you might want to know about that. Long video. Thanks for putting up with it. You probably fast forwarded to it. If you missed anything, that's why you missed it. Ask your questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Take care.